I just arrived at Watkins Glen State Park. It's a park I used to visit as a kid. Really impressed by it as I was growing up. It's a deep gorge cut through rock by water from the melting glaciers as they retreated. A little bit of a lesson today in asking the right questions. I called ahead. Are you open? Yes. Are all the trails accessible? Yes. I didn't ask, are you in the middle of a huge construction zone? So, I didn't ask the right questions. Here I am. We'll make the most of it. The Glen should still be available. Show you that in just a minute. Thanks for coming along with me.
But fortunately, the construction was only at the entrance, and I soon forgot about it. Let's come with me. We'll head up the tunnel to the first bridge and our first sights of the gorge. You can immediately see some of the very deep channels that the water has cut through the rock and the unique rock formations that have resulted. The story behind these rock formations goes back millions of years ago. So let's continue on up the gorge and I'll explain part of the history. This whole area of New York State was once an inland sea. Sediments at the bottom of the sea, a combination of the shells of the creatures that lived in the water, plus various other mud and sand and minerals mixed in, formed layers of rock, mainly shale, which is very soft and crumbly, plus sandstone and limestone that are harder. The different hardnesses of the layers and the different rates at which they erode cause these stair steps, including the waterfalls. You can see here some of the terraces that the water has carved in the rock. This might be due to the varying rates of water flow. You can also see a pothole here, likely from when a few rocks fell at the bottom of the waterfall and were swirled around in a circle for many years. I've always really liked this trail, even when I was a young kid. I like how it blends into the rock face. You know, it looks like it almost belongs here. It goes along the sides, in some cases behind the waterfalls. You can see here how there was a hard layer of rock that the water wasn't able to erode through, but as it fell off that, it dug out a deep, almost circular pit underneath it. A little further down the stream, you can see another circular pit, which shows that the waterfall must have been here at some time in the past. After that unique look from behind the waterfall, we go up a spiral tunnel, climb above it, and can look down from above. There's another example of the way softer rock is being undercut by the water. But all along here you see the grooves and the different layers of the rock and the way it has carved into it. Well, lots more steps to go. There is a trail that leads along the ridge of the gorge as well, but we're going to stay down in the gorge. The gorge continues with alternating flat spots and waterfalls, a series of steps. You also get a glimpse of the bridge that connects the two rim trails. If you have a chance to visit, which I do recommend if you're in the area, be ready for wet trails and also watch your head. In this flat section, you can see under the surface of the stream how there were areas dug out, probably because there was a waterfall here at one point, before it eroded and moved farther up the glen.
When you're in a gorge like this and you see a long flat section of rock, most likely that means this is a particularly hard layer of rock. So the water, which started up still tens of meters above me, was able to erode down to this layer that you see right here, but was not able to continue eroding through it. Farther down the gorge, it has eaten away at the edge of it, where another waterfall is as it drops down into some softer rock beneath it. Of course, thousands of years from now, it's very possible that the water will continue to come up the gorge this way, eating away at this layer of rock.
We've talked about the flat layers of rock, how they formed, why some are harder than others, but we haven't talked about why this stream is here in the first place. And to do that, we have to go back to the last ice age. So let's start by looking at this area from above. Try to ignore the farms and cities and things like that. This is once a flat area with a river valley. And during the Ice Age, glaciers moved up and down the river valley, carving it deeper. Then when the glaciers melted, it turned into a very deep lake. And it slowly drained to the north, leaving the streams that fed it from the side high above the surface of the lake. The lake, of course, still remains. These are the Finger Lakes, but these streams were now rushing down over a hillside to the lower water level below. In some cases, these streams turned into cascades still near the edge of the lake. In some cases, they dug deep ravines back away from the edge of the lake. But in other cases, depending on the rock, they turned into the gorges like what we have here at Watkins Glen.
We've talked a little bit about the horizontal layers in the rock. There are also vertical cracks in the rock. And you can see behind me, some of these lines right here are places where, for one reason or another, from compression or stretching, there are long vertical cracks that went through multiple layers of rock. And when that happens, that whole section can shear off at once, and you see an almost vertical face on some of these rocks behind me. The combination of these horizontal and horizontal layers and the vertical cracks are what gives such interesting shapes to the falls here, where you'll sometimes see almost right angle corners as jutting out from a waterfall as the water has gone over it.
More steps. Did I mention already that you have to watch your head in places? You can see here this soft crumbly rock on the sides, which allowed the water to quickly erode down to its present level.
People don't need a baby.
We're close to a mile from the start of the gorge, and there is a good bit of trail ahead and more to see, but if we keep going, we are going to get wet, and I'm going to stop and put the waterproof case on the camera. We can see here below me another one of the features that's really interesting here about Watkins Glen, and in general when there are gorges like this. And if you look down, you'll notice these rounded curves of essentially pools dug out by the water. And you can see them up ahead too. All along this section. And these can happen for different reasons. But when you see an area that's really circular with the smooth edges, probably what happened was a large rock went down the river over a waterfall, landed at the bottom, and for many years was swirled around in a circle, knocking the sharp edges off. There is one more stop ahead to look at some rocks, plus a bunch of steps, but I hope you enjoy these sights and the unique rock formations here. I've been noticing a particular rock formation here walking through the Glen, and I've been looking for a place where I could show it in some good light. And you see what I'm sitting on here, there's a large flat area, and it has all these sort of waves, ridges, sort of soft rolling sections. It's not flat the way the other sedimentary rock has split. And the reason why that happens is most likely this rock at one point was the seabed of an inland sea and had current over it. It could have been near the shore, could have been on the shore of an island, hard to know exactly, but this kind of layering with these swirls happens shorelines of inland seas that then get turned into sedimentary rock. Here's one more view of this rock formation. The lines that you see here probably were ripples in the sand, the kind that you find close to a shore. Still more steps. The end of the trail is marked by 180 steps called Jacob's Ladder, which lead up to another parking area where you can take a shuttle to get back down. Thanks for coming along, and I hope you enjoyed our visit to Watkins Glen State Park.